Hey everybody, Jake here, and today we're going to take a look at the Leatherman Skeletool, Multitool from Leatherman. Um, it's a bit unique in comparison to some of the other multi-tools, whether by Leatherman or someone else. In just kind of the look and the feel in the hand, and the shape cutouts, etc. We'll get more into that in just a minute though. Just to run over some quick specs for size. Close length is 4 inches. Blade length is 2.6, so overall we're coming in at 6.6. And the weight on this thing is going to be 5 ounces. Blade thickness is 0.1 inch. And we'll go ahead and do some size comparisons here. Go ahead and move that down a little bit. And let's start off with the CRKT Fulcrum 2 Compact, because that's probably the closest size-wise to this. And then we have the TacForce TF820, which I've already done a video on there. And another knife I've already done a video on, the Spyderco Birdfinch 2, which is very small, but blade length is somewhat similar. About half an inch difference there. Alright. So let's go ahead and get into the things that I like about the Leatherman Skeletool. First thing is going to be the lockup on this knife, the knife part in particular. As you can see, give it a focus there, very, very solid lockup all the way to the other side of the blade, I suppose. Also, the finger hole in this thing is fantastic. It blends in very well with the rest of the kind of aesthetic they have going on there, and you can open it one-handed very easily and close it one-handed very easily. It's very pleasant to use. The detent on the blade is also good. You can't, if you're just kind of scraping it or catches on something, it's probably not going to pull out. You really have to kind of purposefully swing it out, which is nice, because that blade comes fairly sharp from the factory actually. The pliers on this thing are fantastic as well, which if you're buying a multi-tool, you expect it to have good pliers. They function very well. I do have several gripes with them, which we'll get to in a bit. But just as pliers, they function very well. And they have, wire cutter, etc. kind of thing going on, which is very, very useful. I'll have this open. We'll take a look at the next thing I like, which is the bit driver. So this comes with Phillips head in 2 sizes, and also, close this up, it comes with flat head in 2 sizes, which you can just kind of pull out with your thumb there, and you can store the Phillips head there and keep whichever one you use the most. Also the carabiner slash bottle clip, or bottle cap opener, bottle clip. It even has a little bottle symbol there. I don't know why you can see that. There you go. It functions very well as well. If you have use for a carabiner, if you just want to, clip this onto a backpack or a belt loop or whatever, and you're using it frequently throughout the day, that'd be perfect for it. I haven't had any issues with it that coming loose or anything like that. So it's pretty good. Now let's go ahead and jump into the stuff that I'm kind of neutral about on the knife, or multi-tool rather. Yeah, first is the clip. It's okay. It's not terrible by any means. It doesn't protrude a whole lot, and it functions just fine. It's just a little narrow in comparison to the rest of the multi-tool, and unless they change the placement of it, they wouldn't really have another option, because if you see, it's just as narrow as the part it sits on. If they were making it any thicker, when you went to use the pliers, it would be cutting into your hand right there. So I kind of wish they had changed the location, I suppose, of it, or preferably, done some sort of maybe placing it here, but then you wouldn't get a very deep, And I'm not sure how else they could have done it, but I'm just kind of neutral about the clip there. Also, the weight Multi-tools are heavy, I understand that, but for me, 5 ounces just tossing it in my pocket is it's definitely noticeable. Some days it's not so bad, but if you're moving around a lot, walking around all day, this is gonna kill you. Well, no more than any other multi-tool would, I suppose. But if you're just going from using just like a normal knife to this, you're gonna feel it. It's gonna be pretty noticeable, unless you're coming from this, which is actually heavier and larger than the Skeletool. You can go check out my video on that. Next thing I'm kind of about is are the rather serrations. Try to get it to where you can kind of see. I'll pull it a little closer there for you. So it is a partially serrated blade, but the serrations really aren't all that deep. That's what's keeping it out of. I apologize for that. That's what's keeping it out of the dislike section. They could still be useful, I suppose. They're not like the tree cutting down serrations from the tack force. You can see that's a pretty drastic difference there. Bit more useful, I suppose. I would still prefer to have just a full plain blade. May just be me. And another thing, if this, well, I want to say this price range, but you're paying for a whole multi-tool. But the cost on this is about $60, and you're still getting, try to show you a little bit here, an asymmetrical grind. This side goes up much further than this does. That's cut at a much sharper angle, but it's okay. And these blades can actually, if I'm correct, be swapped out. So say if you break this one for whatever reason, you can unscrew it, and you can purchase another one of these from knife retailers, Amazon, wherever you want to go get it. So it's not a big thing. And the blade is also made out of 420 HC steel, which is And the handle, or the rest of the multi-tool rather, because almost none of it's a handle, is made out of just steel as far as I know. You can get a carbon fiber version of this. I believe it's around $30 higher or so, but that may help reduce the weight, but may detract from the durability as well. Okay, on to the dislike. So if you are using the knife and you're bearing down, right here, you can very easily push in that bottle cap opener with the back of your palm, and that's going to pinch you. I've done this a lot. It does not feel good. It's very, very irritating. Another thing involving the pinching is that when using the pliers, God forbid you use this left-handed, because that right there is going to pinch the holy shit out of you. It's gonna hurt bad. Over here, right-handed users, you're fine. Nothing to worry about, unless you keep your thumb right there, in which case you shouldn't be doing that in the first place. Another thing, well, while I have it open, I'm just going to go straight to this. The pliers are very hard to use. They do not open very smoothly. It takes quite a bit of force, and when you're trying to use them one-handed, it's just awkward. It takes way more force than it should to open, and closing the pliers isn't so bad, but opening them it's just not fun. It's not pleasurable. I don't like having to use these pliers on a regular basis, although they do function perfectly well, which is why they were in the good list. So go ahead and close this back up, and I'll talk about my last couple of gripes here. Number one, you're going to see when we close this. You close that lanyard hole, or you close the multi-tool, and the lanyard hole is intersected by the bit driver. See if we can get this to focus at all there. There we go. So if you do have a lanyard going through there for whatever reason, and it's filling up that hole all the way, this is going to be sticking out just ever so much. And if you have the flathead, you friction, you may cut it. You never know. So I just think that was kind of a poor design decision on their part. Maybe they could have moved it, up and over. It's not like they don't have a little bit of space there. It's whatever. And also the blade thickness. You can see from the grind here, you're going to get pretty good slicing up till right there. And you can also see from here, the tip is going to be great for slicing, you know, dog food bags or, you know, whatever you're cutting into. It's a bit durable, but you can't really get it's kind of a plunge cut. But the blade thickness ramps up very, very, very quickly. I mean, if this is being used in a kind of rough situation, I could understand that. But let's just be 100% honest here. If you're using a multi-tool every single day and you're putting it through hell, you're going to get a beefier one. So I think that was kind of a strange decision. And what I also find interesting is the blade centering is a little bit off. I'll kind of move it over that way you can see. But it just about fills up the entire handle of the knife with how thick the blade is. On the good side, though, there's no blade play. The lockup's very solid. But there's just a few things to keep in mind. Even at $60, I would probably buy this again. It's been a lot of use to me. And if you can get it for $30, go ahead and pick it up if you're in the market for a multi-tool. It's fantastic. You know, besides the weight and a couple gripes with the blade, the pinching. If you're left-handed, I wouldn't bother picking this thing up at all. There's just little, I mean, you can open the blade, but it's going to be a pain in the ass. It's not made for left-handed people at all. It's not, you know, ambidextrous, I suppose, like some multi-tools are. It's very geared towards right-handed people. And if you're looking for a hard-use multi-tool, I would also look elsewhere, just because, like I said, a few grips with the blade there. And the pinching. That's, if you're bearing down, having to cut something with this blade, it's going to get really, really annoying really quick. Also, I have heard reports of the pliers breaking during hard use. I haven't had any issues with mine, but also don't beat the hell out of mine, so I'm not positive. But there you go. There's my take on the Leatherman Skeletool multi-tool from Leatherman. Mouthful. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and keep an eye out for the next review. Thanks. Bye.